Hey everyone, welcome to another action-packed episode of ARG Presents. I'm Amigo Aaron, joined by a man whose shirt doubles as one of those 3D seeing eye posters. John, Boat of Carshaller.
Can you see it, Willem?
I don't see nothing, man. It never works on me. So, if you joined us last week, you'll recall we spun the wheel, we made the deal. And this week, we'll be playing games on the very exotic and rare, in this country anyway, BBC Micro System.
The Beeb.
The Beeb. We're excited about the Beeb this week, aren't we? We had a lot of fun with the Beeb. So let's talk about the BBC Micro. We're just a few, okay, we're learning too. We're just gonna throw some facts out there. So this thing came out December 1st of 1981, Boat. That's a long time ago.
I was just under 5 months old when it came out.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I was even a youngster in them days.
You were.
I couldn't even legally drive yet. Introductory price of this thing. Now, you know, we talked earlier that this was sort of the rich guy computer. Introductory price of this thing, £235.
Yeah.
In today's money, that's £873.
That is a high dollar computer.
Or $1,125. Now they had that was your straight up BBC. Then you got the Model A, right? The Model A release at £335.
Holy
that is
cow.
expensive, isn't it, right? £1,245 today. That's a lot of money. Or if you're in the U.S., $1,678.
Oh my gosh.
That is expensive, man. Woof. And it ran. They produced these bad boys until '94.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty
I had
good
no
run.
idea.
So you want to take a guess on how many of these things were produced, Boat?
Well,
Take a guess.
I'd say at least 10 million.
No.
All right. Well,
10 million?
10 million.
Are you nuts?
No.
You're not even close.
I mean, you put one in every school in England. There's probably 10 million schools in England.
in every school. That's all they put in there. No, it's 1.5 million. Over 1.5 million.
That's a
produced.
ridiculously low number.
Yeah, I know.
That might be the console that's sold the very least of any console we've ever done on this show.
Oh, we'll get to some that sold far less than that. So this thing's operating system, you know what the operating system was?
BBOS.
No, you don't know any of this stuff. The Acorn MOS, right? This thing had a 2 megahertz MOS technology CPU. Now we mentioned the Model A and the Model B. Of course, the difference is the memory. The Model A had 16 big K, and the Model B had 32K.
That's my favorite kind of knockoff pop, by the way.
What's that?
Big K.
Big K. I do too. You know me. I'm a Diet Dewdrop Extreme.
Yep, Diet Dewdrop Extreme.
So now they had a Model B Plus. All right. This thing would come with either between 64 and 128K. Not bad. You know, and then you've got your Master. That's what I've got written down here.
Is that what it was called? The Master?
It's 128K. The Master. They released 9 models with the BBC Micro of different ones, including the Acorn. We've heard of some of these, and we've jonesed for them, right? The Acorn Electron, and then you've got the Acorn Archimedes.
Oh yeah,
man,
the dream computer of the Amigos.
I would beat you down for an Acorn Archimedes right here, right sitting in front of me.
I would let you beat me down if an Acorn Archimedes would end up.
That would be the sweetest plum, wouldn't it, to have one of those? Because just the name, it sounds freaking awesome, man. So, just getting into a little bit of the particulars of it. This thing could do 640 by 256 with 8 colors. Not too bad. Sound was a Texas Instruments SN76489. Sounds not bad. I was impressed with the sound, weren't you?
Yeah.
Had the usual ports, parallel, serial, you know. Echo Net, an optional port, which I don't know what that is. Have you ever heard of the Echo Net?
Maybe it's a modem peripheral.
Yeah, you might be right. So, I'll speak for Boat when I say, I think I will. I don't know. I didn't know anything about the BBC. I've never seen one. I've never played any games for one. Have you ever played any of them?
Never.
And so I was a bit trepidatious as I chose a random title. Of course, Boat chastised me for just picking a random title. But I like to because how am I going to base this on it? I don't know. But I'd heard of the one you picked. So why don't you go first this week with your title for the BBC Micro?
Don't mind if I do. So this week, I chose Chuckie Egg. Do you know why I chose Chuckie Egg?
I'm assuming you'd heard of it or played it.
Well, I'd heard of it from two things. One, Chris Foles. That's one of his favorite games. He loves Chuckie Egg. But two, I always listen to the 10 Pence Retro Arcade podcast.
Sure.
This is
I also have heard these
my favorite arcade podcast out of Old Blighty. And one of the guys, his nickname is Chuckie Egg. And I remember as I was in a fever dream type state when I was in Thailand, I got real sick when I was over there. And all I could do is sit in this unair conditioned room, you know, my in-laws' house with this fan pointed at my face. And I had a bunch of these episodes downloaded and just listen to that guy goes, and I'm blah, 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 aka Chuckie Egg.
That was what they'll be happy to hear that you that near-death experience involving
that was as close as I've ever come to death.
No one has air conditioning in Thailand, do they?
No one out in the country.
They've got the big houses that have the wide open.
Yeah. In the city in Bangkok, it's a thing, but not out in the country.
Bangkok, Oriental City.
Bangkok, it's.
Remember that song?
Oh yeah, One Night in Bangkok.
That's
One
right.
night in Bangkok, mixed in John.
And there goes our subscriber base. Holy smokes. So tell us about Chuckie Egg.
Okay, so Chuckie Egg. This was developed by one guy. This was a one-man show. This guy, his name was Nigel Alderton. They called him Nige.
Nige,
he was only 16 or 17 years old when he developed this game.
The classic.
This is the classic
bedroom program.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he took a pre-release version of this game for the Spectrum over to nascent software company A&F Software. Now, I did some research on A&F, and he took this game to this publishing house, but I couldn't find any other releases from A&F Software other than Chuckie Egg and Chuckie Egg 2. So maybe these guys were just trying to get off the ground
That's
too.
all you need.
Right. Anyway. A&F was co-founded by Doug Anderson and Mike Fitzgerald. So the A and the F were the A and the F. And what they did was they developed the other versions of the game. These two guys that formed A&F Software, they're like, well, we'll take your game. You can keep doing the Spectrum port, and we'll develop the other versions. So Doug started the BBC Micro version, which we're playing. And Mike Webb, an A&F employee, completed the Dragon 32, or it was probably Dragon 16 port.
Really? This was on the Dragon?
Yeah.
How have I not played
AKA your favorite machine, the
I'll
Coco.
be looking for that.
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
So Chuckie Egg went on to sell over 1 million copies, and it was basically the only source of income for A&F as far as I could tell. They went under in the latter half of the 1980s. So
it probably funded them for a long time.
That's right. That's right. So there are two different versions of Chuckie Egg. One has sort of realistic physics, and the BBC Micro version and the Amstrad version fall into that, where the jumping is sort of a natural or video game natural type of jumping. And then there's the ZX Spectrum version, where you just fly all over the place. You can do what you want.
Really?
Yeah. So Chuckie Egg, what is it? Well, if I were to compare this to a game...
I know what you're going to say.
Well, you have to compare it to Donkey Kong.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
What were you thinking I was going to say?
Miner 2049er.
Well, I'll tell you why I
I
didn't go with Miner 2049er. Because in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, there is a menacing, evil-looking duck-like figure in a bird cage.
See, do you know is there a backstory for this game?
If there is, I didn't look at it.
Because here's the thing. I could never tell if you were helping the bird or he was hosing you. You know?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that's a good question. And any amount of research would have turned that up. However, my amount of research was limited to just playing the game.
You are collecting the eggs.
Right, you're collecting the eggs.
And he is in his little bird jail, aka a bird cage. But he is in the Donkey Kong spot. You're right.
If you look at the box art for this, or the cassette art, it's not apparent who you're trying to help, because it looks like your man is trying to squash an egg, and the chicken is not happy about that. So it's a little bit disturbing, the Chuckie Egg. I probably would have gone with different art, to be honest with you. That doesn't exactly inspire purchase, but hey, it didn't hurt sales any. That's right. Yeah. That's right. So another reason why I compare this to Donkey Kong is obviously the ladder aspect. And also the enemies. I don't know. In Miner 2049, are there enemies that move up and down the ladders and stuff?
They don't. They don't move up and down.
So that was another thing that sort of led me in that direction. But you're right. It is very similar. Especially your main dude looks like the Miner 2049
guy.
Like
him, yeah.
So Chuckie Egg was followed up 2 years after it first came out with a sequel, Chuckie Egg 2. This is more of a Dizzy style adventure, according to my sources.
I did not try the second one.
Yeah, I didn't try it out either. But if it's anything like Dizzy, then it's probably not going to be my cup of tea as much as this game is, because those Dizzy games are hard. And this game is right up my alley. It's easy to grasp what you're doing. You're collecting the eggs. Now, what adds kind of interest to this game is that when you start each level, there are piles of bird seed scattered around the stage.
Yeah.
And you want to avoid picking up that bird seed, because if you leave it be, then the birds will become distracted by it, and they won't come after you. They'll stop to eat the bird seed.
Now, those are ostriches, right?
Yeah, they've got to be ostriches.
Yeah.
What else could they be? So I had a lot of fun with this game. The sound was okay. There wasn't any kind of background music to it, and just your normal jumping sounds and things like that. But I thought is definitely an addictive title. I had trouble emulating this with the joystick. I was using the keys, and just like with the ZX Spectrum, you've got to use a strange combination of keys. It's not your WASD type setup.
Well, thankfully you could reset them in program.
I didn't do that.
Oh, I did. I reset the heck out of
So
them.
why don't you tell me your thoughts on Chuckie Egg?
I don't want to oversell Chuckie Egg, but this is the finest game I've ever seen. Loved. I've heard about this game for years. I have now turned. I love simple, wacky games. And like I said, Donkey Kong or My Toy 49er or Jumpman. Mm-hmm. This is like all those games had a weird kid.
It is.
You've got, and here's what I like about it. It takes me back. When you played original games back in the day, they were very one-trick pony-like. You can go left or right and shoot. Or you can go up and down. I love a game that just lets you just go nuts. You can go anywhere. You can jump off stuff. And the difference, when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, it's Miner 2049. It's the exact replica. But there's a big difference. It's a huge difference. And then one of the basic differences is in Miner 2049er, the miner can only fall about yay far before he melts and gets killed. Mm-hmm. The dude in Chuckie Egg, man, he's out of his mind. He's like just jumping around like a maniac. Yeah. He can fall from anywhere. He doesn't care.
That's the best thing about this game is that it doesn't kill you with fall damage. I hate that about
Jumpman was the same way.
Yeah.
Jumpman, you can go, you got some room. Mm-hmm. It was refreshing, to be honest with you. And then, so they took advantage of the ability to do all this crazy stuff by just putting these eggs in goofy spots. They were tough,
Right.
And the fact that, when you jump off stuff and you kind of float over, and the fact that you can't die, it lets you do all kinds of crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. The bird seed angle. At first, I was picking up all the bird seeds.
You do get points for it.
I didn't read no docs. I don't need no docs. And then I thought about it. I'm like, this is just common sense. Hey, there are birds chasing me. I saw one of them go and eat the stuff. I'm like, well, that's brilliant. I love that.
Let's talk about another awesome thing about the BBC Micro. I don't know if this has got to be, it's shipped this way. And maybe it was a requirement of, maybe there was some sort of, like with the Mac, there used to be human interface guidelines for every app that ever shipped for the Mac had to conform to these certain things. Well, for all the games that I played on the BBC Micro, there was an instruction screen.
Yes.
You see that in cracked games later on, but I have a feeling that this came naturally like that.
Yeah, the C64, when you go back and play the cracked games, a lot of times they've added the instructions
right.
in. But you're right. Like, for example, in the game I picked, there's a backstory. Here's what you do. But something else that I thought was interesting about this game is, after you get to, I think it's the second or third level, they introduce your elevators in, right? And these elevators, these things are tough. The time, especially when you're on the bottom level, you've got to watch that one go off the top of the screen and time it. So, it's tricky. Just right away, they're tricky. Something else about this guy is the fact that when I died a lot, and one of the reasons I would die is the fact that this guy, for all of his jumping ability, he sinks like a freaking stone if you just walk off a ledge. He just goes like, he takes 2 steps, he goes and shoots straight down. So if you're on the top level and you're like, I'm gonna get me some elevator, and you run over and you don't jump, you just run, or you jump too far, he's gone straight down like a sack of crap.
And let me tell you, what I think, the more and more that I think about it, why did they make fall damage in any game? To me, like, I understand if it's an arcade game, you're trying to suck quarters, so okay, Donkey Kong gets a pass. But Miner 2049er, that game would have been so much more fun if they would have just let you, if you fall down, that's fine, you have to work your way back up again.
No, it's a different game. In Miner 2049er, they've combined Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. And so you have to touch every ledge.
Right.
Right, and so adding fall damage in was crucial to the way that game was structured with the elevators and stuff. On this game, having no fall damage, I watched your playthrough on this, and I was screaming at the TV, just fall through the top hole, because you kept trying to make this jump over and over.
Because I didn't realize it at the time.
And I looked at the chat, and the chat was like, fall through the hole. I was just screaming. I was like, come on, man.
You get conditioned when you play games of this vintage that you're going to have fall damage.
Now, I did not get far enough in this to actually get the duck to get involved, like that. I just saw it on the screen.
Right.
But I could get a decent one. I felt like I was doing okay. And again, I didn't have a joystick. I played with a keyboard. The game lets you set your keys. The game's got a high score table that lets you put your whole name in.
Right.
There's a lot of things I like.
Very nice.
I mean, it's a no frills sort of game in a lot of ways, but I mean, it was one of those strangely addictive games. I played this more than I played mine. It was just a lot of fun. And again, it makes me happy when I hear these games talked about for years and years, and I finally get around to playing them, and they're great. It was great. I recommend this wholeheartedly. I really thought it was a lot of fun, and this will be one of my go-to games. You should also mention, while we're talking about it, what is the site that we've been playing these games off of?
Oh, I can't even remember. It's bbcmicro.co.uk or something like that.
Yeah, there's a website that's got all the BBC games emulated in and you can play them in your browser. Man, this place is the best.
Oh, I hit it on the head. bbcmicro.co.uk.
Nice job, dude. They've got all the games, the screenshots. I played probably 15 games, and they all played flawlessly. I didn't have any trouble. Sometimes you have to reset the controls. I didn't try joysticks. Boat said even the joysticks worked with this, so that's pretty cool. But overall, Boat, I enjoyed your game quite a bit. Yeah,
and just so you know, because it's not immediately apparent because they don't make it abundantly clear, but I was able to get my PS4 USB, plugged in through USB stick, working with this online emulator, and I know that when browser-based emulators first came out, that was the one thing that they couldn't do, but turns out all of the main ones can do it, and even like the smaller ones like BBC Micro, there is some compatibility there, so give it a go. This is the way to play these games because it's quick, it's easy, you don't have to mess with ROMs, you don't have to mess with configuration. It's very, very nice.
By the way, what game did the color palette this remind you of a little bit? At least, I mean, maybe it's so old a game. This game, I mean, it's not even just necessarily the color, but the look of it. It reminded me a little bit of a game.
Wait a minute. Give me a hint. Give me the initials.
SP.
I got nothing.
Space Panic.
Oh, I've never played it.
It's not really similar in terms of gameplay, but the look of it sort of reminded me of Space Panic.
That's got the bouncing smiley face, right?
No, that's Berserk, dude. Look it up.
Space Panic? Are you sure?
Berserk and Frenzy had the... Listen, are you questioning me on this?
I'm questioning you.
So right here on the show, you're going to look it up. Yeah, that's Space Panic right there.
Look at there. It was right there. There's the smiley face right there.
What smiley face?
Hold on a second. I'll show you. Right there. They left out the...
That's an O.
They left out the dots and the smile. But
Once again...
That's him.
Right here. Listen to me. Ignore him entirely. But, Bo, you made a good choice this week. I really enjoyed it.
You know why I made a good choice? Because I didn't randomly pick a game.
Well, that's... Hey, we'll get to mine. Did you price this thing?
I didn't price this thing, but I can do it momentarily.
While he's looking it up, I went ahead. I did look to see what BBC Micros are going for. And guess what? I couldn't even hardly find any, and the ones I found were super expensive, man.
That's why on the chat they were talking about that.
I couldn't believe it because I'm kind of thinking maybe I need to get one now. And I don't know the compatibility. This is the problem with us with our little knowledge of the actual the line of computers. I'm assuming that they're backwards compatible from the Archimedes back, the latest Archimedes, but I don't know. You know, and you have no idea either.
I have no idea. So it looks like there's no Chuckie egg that's been available on eBay for a very, very long time. There is a I don't even know what this is. This is called an Acorn BBC Micro Game ROM Instant Gameplay. So are you selling just you're selling the actual ROM chip?
How bizarre, right?
Yeah. So if you're interested, just search on eBay, search for BBC Micro Game ROM. They're actually selling the ROM chip for this game. I don't know, maybe you install that in the system and you can load it up just like loading BASIC from an Atari XL machine. That's a weird deal.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I'm guessing you're giving yours a thumbs up as well.
2 thumbs way up for Chuckie Egg.
Big deal. All right. So I'll go ahead and take off then with mine. So I picked, of course, I like to pick crazy named games, and I had to pick Anarchy Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Because Anarchy was a big deal back in the day.
That was a BBC thing, right?
It was just...
Or, I mean, a BBS thing, right?
The A with the, we all...
Oh, yeah, everybody with the notebooks.
Because you were the cool guy.
It was right next to that weird S infinity sign that you drew.
And this has cool guy written all over it. That's why I like it. So, this game came out in '88. It was originally priced at £1.99p.
Mm-hmm. Very budget release.
What a deal,
yeah.
By the way, for this, I think, in my opinion. So this was published by an outfit called Atlantis, and they did several games on the Beeb. Gunfighter. They did both Hobgoblin titles. Got to have those. Storm Cycle, Crack Up, Pro Golf, Golden Figurine, Creepy Cave, Panic, The Survivors, Cops and Robbers, and League Championship. And I've been told that Crack Up was their #1 title for these guys. So this game is a single-player game. It is a space game, a space shooter. It's got a wacky backstory. So basically, in the world of Anarchy Zone, the galaxy has been divided into different areas by this kind of a galactic empire that's evil, and they've imposed strict travel limitations. Right, this is like a Firefly moment for me. It's the same thing. They don't want you to go nowhere, and so you have decided, screw you guys, I'm going wherever the heck I want. Mm-hmm. They're not gonna let that slide. They send in the boys to come get you, and then my favorite part of this. Remember the motto of the Astronauts Anarchist Association: live fast, die young.
Yes.
That's not a good motto. That's a bad motto to have.
They didn't live long.
They did die young, and they lived slow. So this game was written by one guy, just like yours. His name was Rob Dullstone. Rob only wrote one other title, I believe. And it was, I think they actually released it here. Let me see if I've got it written down. This may have been his only title. I tried to find some information on Rob. I tried to look up his email, all the stuff I usually do. And this guy's one of the guys that just kind of fell off the earth. I found no interviews with him. I don't know how big a game this was, so I'm guessing maybe it wasn't like a huge game. So, what is the Anarchy Zone? Which, by the way, it's got an awesome opening screen. It's just got exactly the same thing yours has. It's got this kind of a backstory that comes up. Then it tells you how to play. It tells you what the options are. In this game, you only have rotations of left and right. There is no up or down. Mm-hmm. And this game can be best summarized as a game very similar to the arcade title Gyrus, or as you incorrectly pronounced it on your stream, Gyrus.
No, have you ever looked at the actual Japanese pronunciation
of
this?
What country is this, brother? This ain't Japan. Everyone here pronounces this sucker Gyrus.
Okay.
No one's pronouncing this Gyrus.
It's Guy or Us.
No.
Get it right or pay the price.
Absolutely not that. So if you've ever played Gyrus in the arcade, tremendous game. Have you ever played Gyrus in the arcade?
I've only played the NES version.
Oh, same thing.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I like it.
The gimmick on Gyrus is it's sort of a cross between a space shooter and like
Tempest, right.
You circle the perimeter of the screen and ships kind of come into the screen a la Galaga. They spin in, and then they go down this basically like it's almost like a well almost. And you can shoot, and your guy's circling the rim of the well. You can't really see it. It's a metaphorical well. It's actually, I guess, they're just far away in space. And then they'll sort of come up eventually, and you kind of shoot them. This game doesn't exactly do it the same way. In this game, again, you circle the perimeter of the screen, but you actually circle and not in a circular way. It's more of a...
it's more of like it's a rounded rectangle.
That's right. It's exactly what I was looking for. I mean, your guy makes the curve, but it's not smooth. You just kind of turn, And as you spin around the circle, aliens come in, but they come in one big wave. They're not like spinning in over and over like they do in Gyros. Also, Gyros is a driving, awesome soundtrack. It was the first stereo arcade game, by the way.
Really? Interesting.
This game doesn't have any music. It just got boom, boom sounds that when you shoot guys, but that's okay. So you've got different enemies that come in, lots of little circles. The funny thing about this game, I was watching you play this on the stream, and I was screaming at the screen again, because if you read the instructions on this...
I'm sorry, I'm bad.
And this is funny. You get, in this game, and this is what makes this game deceptively interesting. Most people would just be like, go in there and shoot all the guys, you're dead. No. You have a skill modifier to your score, and it's based on how many shots you take. It's also based on whether you shoot things you're not supposed to. The little peace signs.
You're not supposed to shoot
those.
those.
Don't shoot those. Those are protesters.
I was trying not to shoot them. But
don't get me wrong. It's incredibly difficult to not shoot them. They're right. For one thing, the other stuff you shoot, you have to pound to kill it. Those things, they just die like that. They're gone. This game has elements of it are sort of like again, I go back to this a lot, but if you've ever played like Blood Money, where you've got these weird shapes that just sort of fly in a formation in front of you, that's sort of what happens here. They will come at you occasionally if you get too close, and if you run into an alien, you have a damage bar, you'll take damage. If you run into one, you'll take a ton of damage. When you start the game, you just sort of start off with these sort of pulsating balls that come out. As you progress into the game, you will get some, like what I like to call like dandelions. Those things are real tough to kill. And then eventually you'll get to eyeballs that are kind of interesting, tough to kill. I
didn't get to those. I died too soon.
Yeah. I ended up getting to, this game has 32 sectors to explore. And I think I got maybe to, I want to say 12. And the good thing about it is, the guys that made this, or the guy, had the foresight to actually include level codes. So at the beginning of the very first level, it says, type in your level code. And if you type in, like, I think one of the last ones I got to, the level code was like cult, right? C-U-L-T was the level code.
Oh yeah, edgy.
They're all words.
And great 80s band.
Well, yeah, you're right. The Cult was a great band. But you type these in, and the good thing is you start instantly where you left off. So there's a lot of replayability in terms you don't have to go trudging through the same thing over and over, which is cool. Again, you also have a life bar that so you can take X amount of shots. You can take a goodly amount of shots, but once your life bar's exhausted, you're done. The eyeballs, which were, again, as far as I got, were very difficult to destroy because they blinked, and you had to just pound them. I'm assuming you have to hit them when the eyes open. But it took me forever to kill them. They intermix the peace signs in usually with the other stuff, and so if you manage to not shoot all the peace signs and keep your bullets to a minimum, you could actually have a pretty good multiplier that comes out of it, because you've got much like your life bar, you've also got a skill bar, and as you kill stuff, it depletes, and eventually you get nothing. Which often I saw no skill, and you get no.
They're going to put that on my tombstone.
Yeah. No kidding. Another thing I liked about this game is that when you get to a new round, some text comes up, it tells you where you're at, and then nothing happens until you move. And so effectively, it's like a built-in pause. You can go get a drink or something to come back, and you don't have to worry about it, which is nice. When you die, your ship explodes in this sort of jakey explosion, just like some streams come up like this from your ship, and it says, "That's all, folks."
Yeah, it was
and you type in your name, and of course, as you play, the entire time you're playing, there's always the little Anarchy sign, because you got to have that. The screen's the borders will change color depending on what
This is,
level you're on.
I always appreciate it when you can use the keyboard to enter your name instead of having to use the joystick.
Well, I guess on there, that's all they had. So.
Right, but I mean, think about all the Amiga games that we played that they still make you enter it in one letter at a time with the joystick.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm assuming that not everyone had a joystick back in those days.
Definitely the case.
And I don't know, I'm not 100% sure what exactly that the, what joystick it used.
Probably the Kempston interface.
Of course, the publisher of this, Atlantis, long since gone. But they did. I thought for anyone that cared, apparently their offices were on 28 Station Road, London. So
I don't know where that is in London.
I don't have any idea, man. But I thought that was kind of cool. I like these kind of games where you've got one guy knocking them out. I just think that's kind of neat. And and if you consider what you've got, I mean, you can't blame anybody if it flops over. And I think both these games, I think they were both based on another property, and I think they both did something different. I mean, this game, I would say, I don't think I like this as much as Chuckie Egg, but I mean, I've played a lot of generic space shooters, and this is one of the more interesting ones.
Yeah.
The ability to rotate around, I thought to myself, man, it'd be neat to have a spinner to play this, or even maybe use a mouse to go back and forth. But I mean, it controlled well. And the funny thing about this game, and this is the more intricate details that you learn when you play it for a while. What I like to do is you actually had to beat the stuff you're fighting rotates on its own. Mm-hmm. It was best if you out-rotated it, right? You basically, it was like a chase. Out-rotate it and then get in a good spot where you can fire multiple shots to kill it.
Right.
And so that made the game have a different feel from a lot of the shooting games that I've played. It's not the quickest game. It's not. I mean, you don't have to be super twitchy. You can get better at it after you play it. I got better as I played it. But I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was a pretty interesting game, and the fact that it had a different vibe to it, I thought was kind of cool. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought this was very okay. I mean, it's very. Whenever I hear about anybody that does it's a one-man show, I'm not going to trash this game because one person created this thing from soup to nuts. It's very impressive that one person could put together something like this. I thought that the enemies were too difficult to kill in the early stages. I don't have a problem with you ramping up the difficulty later on, but I want to be able to confidently beat the first couple waves. And the way that the enemies morph in and out, I mean, it is challenging, but I thought it was a little bit too challenging. I also didn't appreciate the lack of variety. I mean, they were all just kind of, blobs early on. It would have been nice if they could have had at least 2 different enemy types at the beginning.
Well, they've got more that come out.
Yeah. But I thought that the way that you rotate around the screen and the Guy RS effect is very, very cool. I didn't think that making it the rounded rectangle instead of the normal circle, that didn't take anything away from it for me.
It lets the ship be as far away from the aliens as it can be on the screen.
Yeah. As far, like you said, there's a million generic space shooters out there. This is definitely one towards the top.
Something I should mention too, that after a while you get to like a bonus wave where you have these little symbols on the screen that you can't kill. And I was like, what am I supposed to do here? And what you can do with these things is you shoot them and they scoot across the screen. And then when you run into them, you get more health. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So they broke it up a little bit. I mean, 32 levels is pretty good. I didn't get far enough into it to see the real high levels, but with the ability to use codes, and the codes are readily available, I went and sought them all out. I was trying to get there as far as I could on my own without cheating. It was, this guy put some forethought in it. It's just, like I said, having
the level codes are the way to go because
are.
You can't, it's not going to help your score. If you're trying to get the top score, these are going to, but if you want to just explore all the game has to offer, that's the way to do it.
I filled up my score screen the first night I played it, but then I started playing Chuckie Egg, and so I didn't play it as much because Chuckie Egg is more my speed. But I have to say that I think both these games are a lot of fun. I had a good time playing both of them.
BBC Micro.
We were talking before the show, and we should talk about this a little bit. The website that Boat gave out has a like they say, a complete listing. I don't know. But they do have an excellent amount of games.
A heck of a lot is the
And I tried a bunch
number.
of different BBC games because they're just so easy to load up. And man, The Mr. Do I saw you playing was awesome. I played Phoenix. I played Prince of Persia. I played some other. I mean, I was impressed. I was really impressed with how much I liked it. And it reminded me of that simpler time in gaming where straight up gameplay ruled. There was no fluff, and it was fun. I mean, I've never gotten over that. That's the stuff I like. And so this machine was right up my alley.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it, man.
I should also mention that if you haven't seen the 2009 docudrama Micromen, it was produced by, I don't know, I watched it on the BBC iPlayer when I was living in England. It's the story of how the BBC Micro, how these guys got the deal with the BBC, these guys from Acorn, to produce all these machines. And boy, it is a great movie. Clive Sinclair is sort of the villain in it, and he's like, and he's driving his C5 around and stuff. And but it's the guy from The Office is in it, Jim.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's in it. And
the American version of The Office?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the BBC one that much. Only a couple episodes.
It's the guy from the BBC, the British Office.
There you go.
But it's a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, you should seek it out because it's one of those. It's the same. It's a bunch of loser nerds putting together a computer and then they all got rich. It was great, and they got a loan.
That's all you
they
need.
went into the office. I think none of them. I don't think went to college or university, but they went into Oxford. It was either Oxford or Cambridge trying to get a loan, and the guy was like, "Where did you go to college?" And he looks out the window and he sees a sign that says Jesus College. Just wait. He's like, Jesus College, and he's like, all right, and so he gives him the loan. It's great, and so
I might check that out. That sounds good.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
I should add in closing, I could not find any copy of this for sale. I'm guessing a lot of these old BBC tapes are long since dust.
Well, I guess they just didn't sell as many as the Spectrum and the C64 stuff like that.
I looked at some BBC titles, and it wasn't as much as I thought there would be, and so maybe you're onto something there, Bo. But yeah, I enjoyed the BBC. I liked it a lot, and I'm definitely going to come back to it. Well, you ready to spin the wheel and make the deal, sir?
I am
All
ready.
Right, let's do it. Let's spin this sucker.
All right.
Take your docks here.
So as we are spinning the wheel, I would just like to tell everybody about our sister show, Amigos, and the charity live stream that we are going to be doing 12 hours of Amiga, the Amigathon 2008.
Yeah.
This year we are helping out Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. I just got a donation in from Marco Bruno. Thank you for making a $25 donation. For every dollar you donate, we will play 1 minute of your favorite Amiga game. If you go to extralife.com or maybe it's extralife.org and just search for Amigathon, then you can make a donation. We'll play your favorite Amiga game for as long as you give us money.
And that's July 7th?
July 7th, 2018. Last year's Amigathon was a big hit. This one is shaping up to be even bigger. And
it'll be 6:30 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time.
That's right. And we'll keep going as long as the donations keep coming in. We've already filled up. The first 6 hours are already full. So
we had a lot of fun last year, and it felt good to raise some money for charity. Dreamcatcher was heavily involved last year in getting that off the ground. And so this year we're looking forward to raising some more money and having some fun. And
there's going to be
getting stupid, man.
Somebody's getting the pie in the face too.
It's going to be this guy.
Well, you never know. Whoever, and that's one of the things when you put your money in. It's who do you want to get the pie in the face, me or Aaron? You can specify that, and that's where that money goes. So once again, I think it's extra-life.org. I don't know. If you Google it, it'll come up. Just search Extra Life Amigathon 2018. And you can find it. All right, Aaron, you ready to spin the wheel?
Spin this thing, Bo. Let's do it.
Here we go.
Come on, no whammies. Gotta get that one in. What do we got, Bo? I can't see.
It's the Jag. The Atari Jaguar.
All right, let me grab the Jag envelope here.
Look at this. I spun it with such fury. This thing accidentally almost came out.
My gosh, Bo, your power is unbelievable. All right, Bo. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right, what do you got?
We are going to play Bubsy.
Oh, you crazy nut. Well, I want some crossover action, so I'm picking something we've actually covered before. Pinball Dreams on the Jag.
Pinball Dreams.
That's
that
right.
sounds like a winner.
Also, I own that card, so that's what I'm going for.
All right, so Pinball Dreams and Bubsy.
Bubsy. I haven't played Bubsy, so that should be a good time.
It's got a reputation. That's all I'll say.
I've heard. Sounds good, man. So, before we go, Boat, you see I'm wearing the Amigos tee. If you'd like to get one of these Amigos tees, who wouldn't? Or an ARG tee, or a Psygnosis tee, which I've got one. I ordered one, by the way. Where do you get these fine threads, Mr. Boat?
You get these from tpublic.com/stores/Amiga tees. We've got a whole plethora of Amigos merchandise for sale. You can buy shirts, you can buy stickers, you can even buy a tote bag. We're just like PBS.
Big posters.
Yeah, big
nice
posters. Yeah. If you want to buy a big poster of our first 100 episodes, our commemorative poster, you can get that there. So if you want to support Amigos, we have that. And we also have Patreon. Patreon.com/Amigos podcast helps support both ARG Presents and the Amigos Everything Amiga podcast.
And we appreciate you. And if you help us, great. If you can't, no worries.
That's
it's
right.
all good in the hood, brother.
That's right.
So let's take it to the house, Boat. Until next week when we play us some Jag.
Adios.